My name is Adam Franchella, and I am the Chief Product Officer at Auggie. And I will be the host for today's discussion about combo feeding. And for those of you who are new to Auggie, we are a community-powered platform for parents to learn from experts and from one another. And so after the event, don't forget to download the Auggie app if you haven't already and check out all that our wonderful community has to offer. And we are so glad that you're all here today for Combo Feeding 101, where we'll be talking about what it looks like to combine breastfeeding and bottle feeding in a way that truly works for your family. And we're thrilled to be joined by Tanya Johnson, an international board certified lactation consultant, IBCLC, with Nest Collaborative. And Tanya will be sharing tips and busting myths and answering all of your questions. And just a heads up that today's event is being recorded. So we encourage you to drop questions in the Zoom chat at any time, and we'll try to answer them as we go or during Q&A. So Tanya, I'll hand it over to you to continue the introduction and take it from here.
Thank you so much, Adam. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. So we're going to be talking about combination feeding today, which can look several different ways. And what we'll do is kind of go through and then we'll take some questions. So if you guys think of any questions along the way, you can throw them into the chat. That way we can collect them all at the end, or you can wait till the end to do any of those questions. All right. So combination feeding refers to giving baby a combination of breast milk and formula. Sometimes it's referred to doing a combination of bottle feeding and breastfeeding, but in this context, we're going to talk about it kind of referring to adding formula into your routine. Similarly, supplementation can also be referred to as supplementing with mom's own breast milk or supplementing with formula. And if you guys have any specific questions about a combination feeding or introducing the bottle with your own breast milk, we can definitely take those questions too. Every baby and every diet, every family is a little bit different. And so the ratio of breast milk to formula definitely can vary from family to family, age to age, depending on your needs. There are several reasons for combination feeding. Flexibility is one of the reasons that parents often introduce formula. It allows other people to feed baby, to have easily available milk when mom's not around or when mom goes back to work. Introducing formula can help with shared responsibility for feeding. Sometimes parents need to supplement. The pediatrician is recommending supplementation either in those first few days or later due to baby not getting enough milk, concerns about baby's growth, concerns about baby's latch, milk transfer, milk intake. And then, like I mentioned before, that return to work can be a really difficult time for parents where even if breastfeeding is going well and your milk supply is fantastic before you return to work, sometimes returning to work can come with its own set of challenges, being able to pump at work, how supportive your employer is. And so some parents find that they need to or want to introduce formula at that time. All right. The first thing that we recommend is having a conversation with your child's pediatrician, whether baby needs to be supplemented, discuss your concerns about baby's milk intake. Your pediatrician can make some specific recommendations for you and baby and give you some more guidance on if that supplementation is needed due to any concerns about baby's growth. Especially in that first few days, often babies are not latching well, and that shallow, painful latch leads to low milk transfer, so babies are not transferring milk well, and that can lead to weight loss above what we would expect to see in that first few days, or growth issues as baby grows, after that first few days. So your pediatrician is a great resource to talk about specific formulas. There's lots of formulas on the market, and there's laws that kind of govern, what ingredients have to be in certain formulas, but your pediatrician is a great resource for specific information about specific formulas. Ideally, we would want to use formula to fill in gaps that you would need to. So, for example, we'll talk about protecting your milk production, maximizing your body's ability to produce milk, and that introduction of formula really will depend on the reason that you're using formula. Ideally, we would wait to introduce formula until a milk supply is well established. However, that's not always possible, especially if we need to get that milk into baby in that first few days when baby's not nursing well. In that first few days, it can be hard to pump enough milk, even though we make a lot of milk in that first couple of weeks. It can be hard to get that milk out. And so while you're figuring out your pump and flange sizing, pumping routine and things like that, sometimes formula is really helpful. We would want to introduce bottles. If the reason you're introducing formula is preference, we would want to ideally introduce bottles slowly, once a day. If the reason you're introducing formula is due to necessity, for example, some pediatricians will recommend, or lactation consultants also will recommend triple feeding. Triple feeding is where you're doing breastfeeding, bottle feeding, and pumping all in the same kind of time period to protect your milk supply, and using formula to fill in those gaps after every feeding is definitely a common routine depending on how much milk you're able to pump. If it's preference, start with 1 bottle a day. That way baby's tummy can get used to the formula and you can identify any issues with the formula. Some babies, most babies will do fine on the standard milk-based formulas, but some babies will need to kind of go down to the gentle or other versions. It is very important to pump when you are giving your baby a bottle, whether that's your milk or whether that's formula, especially when you are skipping a feeding. So if you're triple feeding, that routine would kind of look like baby breastfeeds for as long as baby's actively transferring milk, actively swallowing, and then you would hand baby to the other caregiver, dad or grandma, to bottle feed while you pump. If you are not triple feeding and you're just doing a bottle instead of breastfeeding, what you would do is you would pump, even if you're not pumping the same amount of milk that you're giving baby in formula. It's really important to tell your body to make milk, and that will help protect your milk supply. Bottles and nipples are important because what we want to do is we want to make bottle feeding, whether that's breast milk in the bottle or formula in the bottle, as close to breastfeeding as possible. So what we're looking for is bottle nipples that are shaped more gradually, so kind of like a mountain or a hill, versus the bottle nipples that are kind of thin and shaped more like a skyscraper. The idea is to allow baby's mouth to remain open, lips flanged on the bottle, and allow baby to control the flow. We want to use preemie or newborn size nipples, depending on how, what your baby's gestation is, the reason for bottle feeding. And then we really want to incorporate paced bottle feeding techniques. Paced bottle feeding is a set of techniques that we use where we sit baby more upright and we hold the bottle more parallel to the floor. If you're one of our patients, we have a great video that explains paced bottle feeding. But paced bottle feeding makes bottle feeding more like breastfeeding. It slows the flow of the bottle so baby can control the flow, helps lessen the chances of overfeeding and gas, and helps lessen the chances of a bottle preference. We used to call it nipple confusion, but now we know that babies are much smarter than we gave them credit for. So really, babies develop a bottle preference for that faster flow. So if you can slow down that flow of the bottle, baby does so much better switching back and forth between breast and bottle. All right. So it's important to give yourself some grace when you are introducing formula. There's a lot of feelings that may come up, especially if your breastfeeding journey doesn't look exactly like what you had planned and what you had prepared for. There's lots of reasons that babies are not nursing well, and it's definitely not anything that mom or dad is doing wrong. But sometimes babies need a little bit of extra milk to kind of help them nurse better, help get weight on them so they can feed better. And a lactation consultant is definitely advised to help you make a very individualized plan. But there's lots of feelings that are going to come up about that, and that's totally okay. Definitely, there's going to be lots of advice from people around you, especially from the older generation in our families. Sometimes when we ask them to do things differently, such as paced bottle feeding, we get a little bit of pushback because, they've raised kids and their kids turned out great, right? But just kind of explaining the reasons behind some of the reasons we do things can kind of help get your support people on board. And we are always happy to be the bad guys. If you ever want to bring your support people to any of your visits. We can talk to your support people about why it's important to kind of modify their bottle feeding techniques. And we really need that peer-to-peer support. So professional support is key in reaching your goals, and peer support is key in reaching your goals. Nest has a latch lounge support group. So we have other moms, pregnant and breastfeeding moms. And when we say breastfeeding, we include exclusively pumping moms under that umbrella. 100% valid way to give your baby's breast milk. But we have moms talking about, a lot of the different things that they're experiencing. The feelings around supplementing, how to incorporate other caregivers into their feeding routine, going back to work and keeping up that milk supply, concerns about milk supply. Is my milk supply just regulating, or do I really have low milk supply? What's normal at each age? And so that support is really, really important. We do see that moms who have support definitely are more likely to reach their goals. So whether that's in person, whether that's in your area, your town, or virtual support, definitely take advantage of them. So an IBCLC can help you make a really individualized plan. And the reason this is important is because there can be so many different reasons why babies need to be supplemented. And what we want to do is we want to protect your milk supply. We want to address any underlying issues. Usually if babies are not getting enough milk in that first few days, it's due to a shallow latch, which causes decreased milk transfer. So baby just can't get enough milk. And one of the signs of that is that baby just kind of latches and then falls asleep right away on the breast without doing a full feeding. And then baby's hungry 30 minutes later or an hour later. And the IBCLC can really help you determine what the underlying causal factors are and help you make a plan that will not only maximize your body's ability to produce milk, but get baby nursing better or identify any other underlying issues that may need further evaluation. Definitely lean on your support system during this time. You can bring everybody in to do those other feedings. If you're doing that triple feeding plan or you're pumping right when baby takes a bottle, you can incorporate your other caregivers to do that bottle with those paced feeding techniques while you get your pump out. Pumping is definitely a lot of work. So it takes time to get it all out, get it all hooked up, get that milk out, and then, get it all cleaned and everything. And following baby's cues is important. And so the IBCLC will help you determine how much milk baby needs to be supplemented and when to supplement, how much is too much, how much is not enough. We can help support you with regular check-ins to, just reassure you and help you, answer any questions about, is this normal? Is that normal? And just really that individualized plan is key to success. All right. And this is the perfect time for questions. Adam, did you want me to talk a little bit about specifically incorporating the bottle with mom's breast milk, so not formula? I'm not sure if he heard me there, but I can mention that a little bit. If you're not using formula, if your plan is to just introduce the bottle with your own pumped milk, in general, we recommend waiting to introduce the bottle till baby's about 3 to 4 weeks old. What we see when we look at babies across the world is that babies who learn how to breastfeed first and then learn how to bottle feed, they do much better switching back and forth between breast and bottle. And moms make more milk if we wait to start that bottle. If we let baby do all of their feeding at the breast in the first month, all of their suckling at the breast in the first 2 weeks, so waiting for that pacifier till baby's about 2 weeks old, we just see much better milk supplies. So in order to avoid issues with milk production, really getting that breast milk and breastfeeding routine established in that first month is key. And then when we introduce the bottle, we do small amounts at first. We use those bottles with those more graduated nipples. And then we introduce, there's some general recommendations, such as we have other people, other than mom, offer the bottle that first few times especially. Most babies do better with someone else offering it. Some babies do better with mom offering it, but usually we start with the other caregivers. We do those pace bottle feeding techniques. Some moms and dads will incorporate a daily bottle into their routine at about 3 to 4 weeks, sometime to get ready to go back to work. And there's not really any studies that say how many times we need to do the bottle to keep baby in the habit. But in my clinical experience working with families for the last 25 years, about 3 to 4 times a week is kind of what I've seen that's kind of necessary to do the bottle, so that baby doesn't refuse the bottle later on. We definitely want to prevent a bottle refusal because that can be really stressful for parents, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of incorporate the bottle. And if you're doing it, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, that's usually enough for baby to feel comfortable with the bottle. When babies are born, they're operating more on instinctual feeding behaviors, and then they move to more learned feeding behaviors. So the closer baby gets to 3 months, the more likely baby is 3 months and over. Really, that's when we see the most bottle refusal. So we definitely want to introduce the bottle in those windows of times where babies seem to be more open to it, between 4 and 8 weeks. I recommend right at 4 weeks, because if there's any issues and baby's a little bit resistant, then we have some time to work on those issues. But we can always help you make an individualized plan too. There's general recommendations, and then there's individual circumstances for sure. All right. Are there any questions so far? All right, I'm gonna take a look at the chat real quick and see if there's any questions in there. All right. Yeah, I'm not seeing any, I'm seeing, please provide the link for the IBCLC, because I'm seeing it as a,
Yeah, I think I just provided an
oh,
essence link,
perfect.
Tanya, for you.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Yeah, everyone who's here, guys, feel free to, either pop on video if you'd like to ask a question, or just in the chat. I think Tanya would be happy to respond in real time as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And if you guys have any specific questions about your situation, I'd be happy to kind of give you some as much information as I possibly can about that. It's what we talked about today was very general information, because every situation is so unique, that sometimes general recommendations don't always apply to individual circumstances. So, for example, a lot of moms will come out of the hospital hearing, don't start pumping till baby's a month old, right? Well, that's great advice if baby's latching well, nursing well, mom's making plenty of milk. But if mom needs to start supplementing, start bottle feeding, then that's not good advice, right? So that's really only applicable in certain situations.
I did have a question. My name is Addie. Um, and I have a 7-month-old daughter who I am actually today, Bobby package just arrived. So this is actually perfect timing for this. And so I wanted to start combo feeding instead of switching her over to formula only.
Okay.
And I listened, and I've been doing multiple things. So if I missed something that you already said, I apologize.
Yeah.
But essentially, any like helpful tips to understand where to start off, in the sense of like, I anticipated trying out a bottle. I've read on the Bobby website you can either do 100% or you can do 25% formula, another bit of breast milk. So any helpful tips just to start off, so that way I'm not overwhelming her, overwhelming myself. She takes a bottle 100% completely fine. She's good with that. So there's no concerns about taking a bottle or any of that sort. It's just simply concerned about her taking the formula, because I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it sounds like, if I'm understanding correctly, your baby's about 7 months. Baby's used to taking the bottle with your breast milk, but you're wanting to start incorporating some formula, and you're wondering the best way to kind of make that transition.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
perfect, perfect. Yeah. So at 7 months, so if when babies are much younger, usually they'll just kind of accept whatever we give them. But as they get a little bit older, they definitely have their preferences. And all kiddos, we're all born with our personalities. Some of us are, more open to trying new things than others. So you may want to try just the formula and see if baby is open to the taste of that. At 7 months, it's less likely that baby would be accepting of the taste, but some babies do. Some babies are very chill and they'll go with anything. But definitely doing a small amount of formula and then gradually increasing it would be the way to kind of help baby transition to that taste. So I think you mentioned you had heard like 25%, like let's say just for the sake of argument, baby's doing 4 ounces, 1 ounce of formula, 3 ounces of express breast milk. And then once baby's taking that with no issue, so a few days, then you would do half and half. Baby's taking that with no issue a few days, then you would increase to 3/4 until it's full formula.
Okay, no, that's very helpful. And just so I understand correctly, if and I probably should have added this in, I have a very low supply of
Mhm.
milk left over in my freezer,
Yeah, yeah.
almost basically none. And so, should it be freshly expressed breast milk that if I like kind of mix the two, or can it be thawed out, like frozen milk?
Yeah, it can be anything you have. If baby takes your frozen milk with no issue, then you can use both. If your goal is to gradually start weaning and reduce your milk supply, then you may want to just use your freezer stash for this option. If your goal is to maintain your milk supply, then you would definitely want to pump every time you would give baby the bottle. So you could either replace your freezer stash or use that in real time.
Okay, perfect. Thank you
Of
so much. I
course. Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for the question. It's so funny how the age of the baby makes such a huge difference. We definitely see babies doing completely different things based on those age ranges for sure.
Other questions, guys, for Tanya? Okay, well, Tanya, unless any come in as I'm speaking, I think we can perhaps wrap here.